Good evening, afternoon, night, morning, whatever you're trying to watch or listen to this podcast. This is Omar, aka the Burger Piper. I feel like I gotta add that. That's my Twitter nickname because people ask about it. Um, you know, Shout out to my old roommate in college for calling me the Burger Popper. Changed my life, I guess for the better. But this is Omar from Hardware. I'm gonna be hitting the mic with Jackson fairly soon. We just got to coordinate with things before Jackson gets into the whole draft process because that's gonna take up all of his free time. Him watching the combine, getting those measurables. But tonight, I'm joined by a special guest. I'm joined by Marcolm Banks of HBCUNightly. We're gonna talk some HBCU ball, and he is probably, I'd say, like, if you've seen our conversations on Twitter, he is probably the biggest Morgan State fan I know, former player, and probably the biggest hater of TSIDC. And I'll just let him explain that before we talk our greater topic.
Oh man, listen, Omar, I appreciate you having me on this great podcast, on your platform. Your work, whether it's through the podcast or through your articles, are amazing and insightful. Uh, I've been a huge fan actually before I probably was even in this. Uh, it's still new for me, pseudo media space. I feel like I'm kind of illegit compared to you guys. So, so like I said, I appreciate you coming on. Like I said, Markham, I went to Morgan State in 2013 through 2016, where I also played at the National Treasure for football. Um, won a championship there back in 2014. I don't have my ring on me right now, but I would, for anybody who, he has a specific letter that I hate, and it's not the T in his background. But if there's anybody listening from that school, I would flash that ring right now. But that's neither here nor there. Um, uh, we're gonna talk about some interesting things regarding Morgan State, regarding this upcoming season for Morgan and his fellow or former foes from the old MEAC and even more familial CIAA. So I'm just happy to kick it off with my bro. So thank you for having me on, man.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it. I mean, I enjoy the platform that you have at HBCU Nightly to enjoy the discussion because I mean, conversations you guys have need to be had, and it's engaging too. It's engaging to see any, I guess, passionate college football fans from any background of any school just
Yeah.
let it all hang out, in Twitter space, So I do apologize for this. I got this in 2022 Truth and Service Classic. I forgot I
Uh,
had it up here.
it's called the Lies and Disservice Classic. That's first and
Dang.
foremost. And and
Uh,
and for what he referenced earlier, the TSIDC stands for the school in DC. I don't care or dare to say the name. There's no need.
All right, yeah, I'll leave it there. I'm not the one saying that, but I will leave it there. I mean, geez, I don't even hate Navy as much, honestly. Like, I go to Notre Dame Navy. I've been to the last few Notre Dame Navy games. It was like the first one I had a Notre Dame jersey for the fit, but like down inside I was rooting for Navy. I had to flash a fit for Notre Dame. I like Notre Dame and Navy, but I was rooting for Navy, because like you got.
Yeah, you're way too much of a gentleman. Hence why you went to United. And by the way, of course, thank you for your service. I you don't understand how much I appreciate something of that sort. I come from a military family. My grandfather's in the Marines. My other grandfather was actually also in the Marines. Uh, my uncle was actually in the Navy as well. So just want to say salute to you and thank you. Um, but yeah, you're way more of a gentleman than I am. There's no way I could even fathom having uh, that school's colors or jersey on my skin. You
I
know,
didn't go that far. I didn't go that far. I mean, I had Notre Dame jersey. I vowed to never wear any Navy gear, Navy or Air Force gear, because my friend, I mean, shoot, he's an Air
but
Force.
you
He
wore
had,
Notre Dame gear though, right? If I heard that correctly, you
yeah,
wore Notre
I wore Notre
Dame,
Dame gear.
which is
I'm
similar
not Catholic.
colors.
Army wears gold too. Army wears gold too. So it's not that, it's not, I mean,
So
it's
we
not a
just go,
stretch.
yeah. If you want to just, hey, brother, if you want to justify it by that, I'm with you. I got you. Respect. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, so I mean, shoot, like I am also the quintessential Subway alumni. I will say that, and I'm not ashamed of it. No, I'm not ashamed of it at all. I love the history of the game, so that's what I have
Absolutely, absolutely.
so I mean, I guess it's like a good segue to our main topic. Speaking of subways and subway alumni, I always get kind of, it's like a couple topics in college football get me, excited, get me misty eyed, get me thinking about the past, and that's football in New York
Right.
City, and
Oh
that's
yeah.
four programs in particular. Of course, Notre Dame Army. Any day now, you guys want to make the announcement that the game's happening. We know it's going to happen. We know Notre Dame Army is going to happen this year. Just let us know so we can buy tickets, so I can at least start searching on the Notre Dame black market because
For
I
the
know it's
and
going to be.
for the regular Joe Schmo who's not a million gazillionaire, not having to buy 500, $600
Exactly.
tickets at the beginning of the year, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, shoot, I'm already kind of I wouldn't say like it's not a tough spot, but it's like there's high demand. Like my mom wants to go to Army Navy. She said it's
Oh
on her bucket
yeah.
list. So
Oh
I
yeah.
like I have to be a season ticket holder there to like start the
Oh yeah. Oh God bless. Yeah.
yeah, start the rotation. I have to start the rotation because that's what I tell. I told my mom this year is your year, next year's my dad's year. Then the year after that, then kid, my fiance will go. So so that
Wait. When you getting married soon, the priorities might have to be flipped. But I don't want to create no family drama here.
I guess she doesn't care. She doesn't care about Army Navy. Like she like this year when I was watching the game with her at the goal line stand, like yeah, we'll just say it was like two different ends of the spectrum, like two different ends. Like,
Right. Right.
yeah. That being said, I mean, New York City football, New York City, Notre Dame Army, and of course Morgan
Yes.
State and Grambling. I mean,
Oh yeah.
so this year though, so I guess it's kind of funny because with the Brick City Classic, out there at Red Bull Arena, the home of the New York Red Bulls of Major League Soccer.
Right.
We had last year's game was Grambling Hampton. This year's Hampton Morgan State. So they're getting closer. They're getting closer to giving the matchup that everyone, I guess all the old heads and people that act like old heads want. They're getting
Yeah.
closer. So maybe next year we'll get Grambling Morgan State. But this year, Morgan State Hampton is the Brick City Classic on NFL Network. So Markham, I know you got a ton of thoughts on that. I
Oh
guess just
man.
let's talk about it.
So ironically, I think this is a perfect precursor to um, Michael B. Jordan's QQQ Legacy Classic for basketball, where last year Morgan participated along with ironically Hampton, Norfolk State, and Delaware State. And I would say out of the Prudential Center, which is also situated in the Newark region um, of the tri-state area, uh, out of a 16,000 seat arena, roughly, maybe 3,000 seats were about cordoned off, or maybe 2,000 about. But outside of that, it was a packed house, and probably a little bit more than half of that sold out crowd were full of Morgan fans. So just to know, like within that area, there's a huge high spirit alumni slash just dedicated fan base. Was a proud and great sight to see. And I think, just historically speaking, when you go back to the 60s, and probably ironically, I would argue if you're going pound for pound, player for player, Hall of Famer for Hall of Famer, uh, probably the greatest HBCU game ever played. I mean, my pops, he didn't get a chance to attend that particular game in 1968, which was part of the Whitney M Classic, Whitney M Young Classic series that was at the old Yankee Stadium. However, he was there a couple years later when they played in the 70s. But for that 68 game, um, it still has reverberations of great storytelling, great pride to this day. And so whenever you have just, I mean, blue blood brands such as Grambling and Morgan within this region, and not to say to a lesser degree, but to a similar degree, a Hampton University, people will come out. Ironically, uh, when I was actually at a different university that was in the same region. Um, Morgan was supposed to play Hampton back in 2012 uh, at Yankee Stadium, or the new Yankee Stadium. However, because of Hurricane Sandy, it had gotten canceled. And so, considering that's, a little bit over 12 years now that, they haven't played in that region, I think adds even more significance to this rivalry. And for me playing, I didn't view us versus them as Hampton, because them is a specific team, historically speaking. But us versus Hampton, the real HU, if you will, as a true rivalry. But considering it's one of actually our our oldest ones, and I think it's their fourth oldest rivalry as well, dating back to 1922. So it's a great tradition. Like I said, dating all the way back to the CIAA. You're gonna want to have your popcorn ready, because there's gonna be some hard hitting. There's gonna be some real familial ties. It might be some families divided just due to regional ties down in the Chesapeake Tidewater area, where people will either go to Morgan or they go to Hampton. So I think just to build up to this game, and the fan bases and the alumni chapters that are cultivated and situated in that New York tri-state region, is gonna add something to it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess hearing you describe it just makes me even more excited. And like you said, it's an important part of college football history. I mean, I'm always in awe of just how much, um, how much talent I guess Morgan State and Grambling produced. Like, I mean, in that game alone, I mean,
Yeah,
Raymond Chester catching the game-winning touchdown, Shaq
cool,
Harris.
cool guy, cool Raymond Chester, cool dude. Met him my
I'm
freshman
jealous. I'm
year.
jealous you met him. I'm jealous you
Yeah.
get to
Oh,
say
yeah.
I met
Oh,
Raymond
oh. It was
Chester.
it was it was low key. I mean, I get it because we're part of the brotherhood, but I was like, hello, Mr. Chester. He's like, Mr. Chester, boy, you call me Raymond. We both each other. You call me Raymond. I was like, yes, sir, man. I was like, all right, all right. I started getting extra nervous. You know, I told my dad, I said, Dad, I met Raymond Chester. You met Raymond Chester. It was a big thing. And then to meet D1, as well. I never got we, of course, because of just in passing, never got a chance to meet Mr. Roosevelt Brown, but our other D1, in the sense of arguably the greatest linebacker of all time, depending on who you ask, Willie Lanier. Uh, just a down to earth guy. He talks about those games, but he doesn't really like to talk about himself. Ironically, I mean, but you could tell, like, he still has the figure, he played, right. Like, his neck is like I mean, it's crazy. But yeah, those guys will come out, every now and then, and it's like I said, it's a brotherhood, and like, not trying to interrupt, but like, yeah, it's just I don't think people really understand the magnitude in the sense of the talent. Um, I think it would be like the equivalent of present day Alabama versus, like, I don't know, '05 USC. Like, to the degree of the amount of first round draft picks, just multiple draft picks appeared throughout those subsequent 2 to 3 years thereafter, Hall of Famers, et cetera, if you will. I mean, yeah, those teams in the '60s and early '70s, especially before Grambling and Morgan, uh, they're just monsters.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I mean, just like looking back at Earl Banks, Earl
Yeah,
Banks, if you look at the
no relation, no relation.
yeah, yeah, you look at the Mount Rushmore of black college football coaches, like Earl Banks is up there. Like, everyone talks about Eddie Robinson, Jake Gaither, right? But I mean, Earl Banks is right up there too,
Yeah.
and everything. I mean, I guess of course, I'm not preaching to
No, no,
the youthful
I love it.
viewership,
I love it. I can't
Um,
believe I'm hearing this from no offense, an outsider, especially from a guy who went to the military academy. So I'm like, hey, brother, good. Preach, please. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I mean, I guess you mentioned that. So, like, I guess it's a good segue, I guess, for just in the past, like my junior year, um, Morgan State visited Army, this
Yeah,
past year. I know you played two games against Army 2013, 2016.
yeah.
Um, and I mean, of course, last year our Morgan State played at Stony Brook. So I guess it's clear that the New York City Metro is an important area to Morgan State, which I guess a funny story about Morgan State and these academy games is like there is a running joke about how long your alma mater is. Like because of course we're like we if we win we sing second every home game, so like everyone's just like waiting for the alma mater to end. And like there is like I don't know if you know about Yodel, which is like the anonymous posting app. And a lot of cadets have it. A lot of people use it to spread rumors and just vent about how bad the academy is. And someone said like I just woke up from my Saturday all morning inspection nap and they're still playing the Morgan State alma mater. So
No,
I
we
guess
have
like,
yeah, we do have a prolonged alma mater song. Ironically, uh man, I remember senior year we actually had a chance to tour uh, uh, West Point the day before, and we was uh, I was grateful for that opportunity, and we was able to walk near you guys' barracks. Am I saying that correct? The
yeah, yeah.
dormitories, but technically barracks, I think. And and I'll never forget. And I think it's not messed up any national security measure or anything like that because it's kind of anonymous. We don't know what went down. But one of your fellow alum said, you know, I didn't sign no oath for no damn Morgan State, and to this day, like I die laughing. Because I was like, man, he's right. I don't know where there's a Morgan State either. So the banners that you guys hang is. They're second to none, and I love that because it really brings out the true joy and just awesome fanfare of college football.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like we have contests. Like if you have the best banner, like you get to take a nap essentially. Like you get the posters
Ah,
before
there you
you get
go. It makes
inspected.
sense
So
then.
yeah, it's the little things. It truly is the little things at times at the academy. Um, but yeah, like these games in New York City Metro, I guess
Yeah,
how important are they? Because I mean, I do notice like the games like Stony Brook, which wasn't played this past year, but of course the West Point games and everything else.
yeah. So, like I said, I mean, I think it goes all the way back to, like I said, going to these, the Whitney M Young Classics. Um, then you go to the New York Urban League. I think that was like the natural transition to the New York Urban League Classics, and essentially Morgan State being kind of the pseudo home team for a lot of those years, especially from the '70s onward. Um, that becomes sort of like a second haven outside the Baltimore region, and then you then clash that against great uh, regional team names such as Stony Brook, uh, of course, United States Military Academy, and others in the region. It builds a more compelling case for people who may not be familiar with the HBCU brand they might know West Point or they might know some other set in regional school, and they then say, "Oh, HBCU, what's that?" And they're more interested to see what's going on, especially with what we bring outside of just the athletics portion of it, the well renowned history, similar to your school. So I think it sets that, and then on top of that, you have to also understand that from if we're going more of a cultural standpoint, um, the largest African American demographic population is situated in the tri-state region. So, as a part of being a pillar of the African American community, the HBCU institution, I think for us it's vitally important to show our face uh, amongst the largest Black population in the United States or in that area or region of the United States to build that familiarity of saying, hey, we know there's not HBCUs, particularly in this actual area, but we're not. We're just a couple of hours south. We're not too far away. And so if you're ever looking for a place to come home to, you can always come home to the National Treasure here at Morgan State. So, I think from a marketing ploy and from just like a always being there like a family member, we want to say like, we're right here and we're always going to be here to stay.
Yeah, no, I think you put that very greatly, honestly. Just about I guess like institutional like recruiting because a lot of I remember I guess it still sticks in my head the story about that the Washington Post released about when Howard visited UNLV about how great of an opportunity that was for the school itself
Right.
to bring HBCU exposure to Las Vegas. And of course like New York City is I mean, on a larger college football landscape, like it's kind of like untaken ground for any fan base, really, because there's a lot to do in New York City as it is, but there's really no program that I guess controls the area. So any foothold in, I mean, the largest Black population in the country, largest market in the country is welcome, which I guess brings me to my next kind of discussion point is with New York City being ground like land for the taking there's another school in your conference, trying to have showcase games. I'm not, we both know who we're talking about. We both know who we're talking about. I guess how I guess what are
Wait,
your
who are
thoughts?
you? Oh, Westchester Community College? Are we talking about Westchester Community College? Are we talking?
No,
Who?
no, no. We're talking about the school in DC. The school in DC also, with their yearly MetLife showcase. I definitely think, and not just because you're on here, I definitely think that this game against Hampton is more impactful because Howard, sorry, I mean the school in DC beating Morehouse every year. That doesn't really I don't think that really like, moves the needle that much recruiting wise in New York City. So I guess I want to know your thoughts on like that whole situation with, the other DMV school trying to make their name in the Big Apple.
So, for one, um, I think you had a perfect soliloquy of just that our brand is better. I
I,
think you just
I wouldn't
stated
say
that
that.
our brand is better within that region. So I want to say thank you in advance. But secondly, I think they've had for several years now a standing tradition with hosting I think it's the HBCU New York Classic game out of MetLife with one of their longtime rivals in Morehouse University, um, or Morehouse College, excuse me, which you know from a cultural standpoint, I think it breeds a significance because you also have to think who are some of the famous uh, alums of those two programs, actors, directors, or what have you, who are mainly situated in the New York City region, such as Spike Lee from Morehouse. Uh, 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 who else am I missing? Of course, P Diddy, being from he went to Howard. Sorry,
It's okay.
I said their name. Oh my god.
Is it talking about Chadwick Boseman or?
Yeah, no. I said the school's name by
Oh no.
accident. but nah, but like P Diddy, hailing from that school, um, the Waynes, having being a strong New York comedic family hailing from that school, and many others. And I don't want to do injustice to their alumni base. Who have great not only from a thespian standpoint, but from a commercial and business enterprise standpoint, the many great uh, business men and women who hail from those two institutions. So I think from that point, it's a major cultural importance. From a more athletic standpoint, yeah, it's simply weak. We know that. D1 program facing up against a D2 program that in one of those, I mean, really, let's be real, for a long, long time, there's a lot of apathy on both sides of wanting to be successful from a football standpoint. And I'm never letting that down. I'm especially for the D1 program. I am never, ever, ever, ever letting that down. Listen, I'll be dead in the grave in 2096, and I'm still not letting that down. Matter of fact, on my tombstone, you could say, and the school in DC was apathetic of football for like almost 100 years, right? Like I swear to God, I would say that, right? But I digress. I think it's a tough sell from an athletic standpoint unless you truly don't care about competitive nature and stances of a D1 program versus a D2 program, especially when one's on the mend of being somewhat competent, where the other is just getting a footing of just trying to hold establishment within a D2 space. Um, so yeah, I would hope, and I don't want to throw any shade to the Morehouse community because I understand that's a huge uh, uh, branding opportunity and marketing opportunity for them when it comes to not only facing the Division One program, but facing the Division One program and the largest market in America. Um, but yeah, from a competitive standpoint, in me, a former player, I would love to see the school in DC face different competition without question. I don't know, and it'll be kind of tough. But maybe if instead of them facing Print, I think they face either Princeton. I think they face Princeton this year actually.
Yeah,
But like I would love to see that game, you know, at a stadium like that, right? If and I'm tired of us facing the Ivies, and I'm not to try to segue, so my apologies, but I'm tired of us facing the Ivies at their home when they don't want to come to ours. I know Harvard came as close to Audi Field, but it wasn't green. You know what I mean? Like it was, like you didn't touch Georgia Ave. You didn't touch the campus. Kind of got scared. Along the way, said, the Navy Yards. This is about as far as we're going to come. Excuse me, sorry.
yeah, no, I mean that's a good point too. Yeah, I know Harvard. I know for me, the games always jump out to me. I guess it's like another. I guess like segueing off of your segue, like the games like that fascinate me the most, like, loving history and everything is like the intersectional games for the Ivy League, when they
Yeah,
step out of their comfort zone.
absolutely.
Like something for me that I'm excited to see. Like I know Harvard hosts Stetson this year. It's like I hope they're not cowards and they go to Florida. Because like that's what the fans want. Like there's probably so many Harvard retirees hoping that they come to the Orlando area. Just, like
Man, but that's no. Oh, yeah, no. But sorry, I thought I muted. Um, to the folks at Stetson, no disrespect, none whatsoever. But facing, I think they finished 126 out of 128 in all FCS teams. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
that's a whole conference. That's a whole Pioneer Football League, which like no shade to them. I give them coverage too because
You got to
I'm
give them love. No, you listen. That's why we love you. That's why we love you because you cover it all. There's no. The little man is going to receive as much as South Dakota State, but it's listen. I just, but somebody on the Ivy League end could say, "Well, you guys played Yale and you guys freaking lost 45-3." So you have a point there. But at the same time, we were also going through a shuffling of quarterbacks. So we found the right one towards the end of the season. And I think had he played in that game, the outcome wouldn't be so stacked as it was against us on that day. But I you know I think it's also tough because it is the Ivy, and I don't think a lot of people also realize um, because of who they are, they have a lot of FBS talent, like talent on their teams, um, and they don't have to recruit in a way that other programs have to recruit simply because of who they are. And so, don't get it twisted. They do play a solid brand of football in that conference. Watching it up close and personal, it is formidable. But I just wish that when it came to them having away games, and I understand it because everybody wants to have a home game. But I wish when they played away games, it wasn't for only in conference games, and they tried to venture out more for those out of conference games uh, away.
Yeah, and I agree, and I think like I know we talked before about like talking about like greater trends in college football. Like for me,
Yeah.
I think the Ivy League, as love them or hate them, I guess a lot of FCS fans hate them for right reason. Like I can't keep defending the Ivy League, you know, because like the Dream Bowl in Tokyo is definitely like the last straw where it's like I can't defend you guys now if you're playing in Japan, you know,
Yeah.
I can't defend that, but I mean they're kind of like the last sign of like the old days that we have, not just because of the Ivies, but like every time, like and even to a degree, the Patriot League, you know, every time, like you know, the tradition, the stories, but like every time you see them, like I guess last year Princeton playing at San Diego, and I guess like
So they
this year, like
played. So they played at Pioneer. Oh, you know what? Don't tell me this.
yeah,
Don't tell me
I'm sorry, yeah,
there was a conspiracy led effort across the conference to okay, guys, we're going to play our out of conference games in the Pioneer League. Like, don't tell me that's what went down. Because if that was, then I'm going to be pissed.
I mean, shoot. Well, I mean, maybe it's just Princeton because Princeton played at Stetson in 2022 at Stetson. So, but you know, it's like for me, it's like there's like that kind of like mystique where it's like even with the Patriot League, where it's like if they venture out of the Northeast for a road game, it's like it feels like a big event, you know. And it's like looking back at the history of the game, it's like you had to prove yourself against the Ivy League, which like that's not so much the case now. Maybe for the Pioneer League, you know, if Stetson were able to pull this one out against Harvard at Boston, or sorry, not Boston, at Harvard Stadium. You know, could be I mean, it will be a huge event for their program. You know,
Oh
might
yeah,
not put them
for
on the
sure.
national map. Won't put them on the national
No,
map
no.
like it's
I
the
mean,
night
well,
for
within
this.
the FCS world, is I mean, coming from 126 to facing Harvard and beating them up in Cambridge, I'll give it to them. I'll give they should get national recognition. I mean that man, God, yeah. That I mean, that's highly improbable. That's like either Biden or Trump going for a third term, right? Like it's just extremely unlikely, you know.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, like I mean, there's like that mystique and like which is why like I tweeted out, I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, like I was like I'm like Bucknell VMI, like I'm really fascinated by that. Like, you
That's a
know,
good
because
game. Yeah,
like I mean it's I'd hate to, you know, slam on Bucknell because I was all in on Bucknell during the 2021 spring season and everything because that was a way for them to steal a playoff bid, which they didn't, but
right.
they played good ball that year. But you know, it's kind of a pillow fight, you know. I mean, both programs don't have the richest history. Um,
Yeah, but you don't think with Coach Rocco and his pedigree, from being in the CAA and have success there and now being at VMI, you don't think you could turn that program around?
I mean, I think he can, but like my thing is like I find it to be a very comparable situation to not Tommy Terry Bowden at Akron and ULM for a FBS
Mm,
perspective because the cards are just so stacked against him, and especially in this
mm,
age of college football, like you like Citadel starting to get grad transfer. I know they got the backup quarterback from Liberty. I forget his name, but
yeah.
VMI has no grad school, and that's already something that's like stacking up against them in this
Mm.
new age of college football where you know you got to have that if you want to recruit talent like Reese Udinsky. Them not being able to keep him and squeeze out honestly two more seasons from him staying at VMI like
That's a
that
linebacker,
hurt.
right?
That's a quarterback.
The quarterback. Sorry, my apologies. Quarterback. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean I think he can, but it's just like it's just kind of one of those things where it's like a combination of I guess, all the institutional challenges as well as the new climate of college football, which, you know, I point to a guy like Jerry Kill with like a guy like, you know, Coach Rocco, great reputation. It's like, is he equipped to face like this new reality of college football? Like, even though at the
Especially
Senior
with
Military Academy,
NIL and yeah.
I don't think there's much NIL flowing at the Citadel or BMI to be honest,
No, no,
but
no, no, no. But that's what I'm saying. Where
yeah.
other schools, especially in the, I mean, just like Citadel alone, right? If you're talking about like just off the coast, I mean, I don't know how much Charleston Southern can provide from NIL perspective, but you have Charleston Southern, you have, of course, Coastal Carolina,
Mhm.
uh, and then you have yourself, and at least those two programs, even if to a lesser degree for Charleston Southern, you got schools that can provide some sort of other incentive to these new age of student athletes that you just can't. right? And I don't, and that makes. I mean, I get it. You're trying to get a kid who's built off of discipline and tradition, and cut from of a certain cloth. But kids also are kids, and they look at other things. So, no, I definitely see what you want, and just to give a little shout out and respect to the Patriot League at least, or at least to some of the members of the Patriot League. Holy Cross did play us down in Baltimore my senior year. That was like actually probably the beginning of their ascension of like their dominance within the Patriot League conference for like the last several years. Um, so I'll give them respect because it was a home and home. We played at their home in 2014. Should have won that. Don't get me started on that. We should have won that game. And then we played. They came down to Baltimore, and that was the first time to this day, just from a cultural impact perspective. It was a it was a 1 o'clock game because historically we play at one down at Hughes Stadium. But I remember just that's why you love college football. I remember seeing we have a parking garage that kind of oversees the stadium facade, and I could just remember Holy Cross fans, you know, firing up, ACDC and other, hype rock songs, and you could see them like grilling, brats and stuff like that, and I'm like, wait, it's like 2.5 hours or 3 hours before the game. You're not usually on an HBCU level used to seeing that type of fanfare that early before the game. Unless it's homecoming or something, you're not used to seeing that. Guys with beers in their hands and it's still AM. You're not you're not used to that. So see, I remember I was like, oh yeah, this is different. And I loved it because like I said, it enhances the overall experience. It's something that's left an indelible mark on my life. So I do want to give a shout out to the Crusader fan base and how they brought it that day way back in 2016.
Yeah, no, I mean, so I grew up in Worcester, grew up going to Holy Cross games. Like, I still remember to this day. Probably my favorite memory is like them playing Yale in 2007, and my dad and I just happened to see. Like, looking back, it's cool. We got to see like the greatest rushing performance in Yale history. Like, who was I think? Well, Clint Frank was an end. Larry Kelly, yeah, Larry Kelly, former Heisman winner, didn't run for as much yards as Michael Cloud ran that day. But I remember my dad turning to like me as a third grader saying, like, is anyone gonna stop this guy? He had like 40 carries for like 256 yards, I think. So a lot of my favorite memories as a kid, like what made me like I guess more of a college football fan is like seeing like Holy Cross play. I think there's like only a couple games where that I went to that weren't against Ivy. So I saw them play Brown, saw them play Harvard, saw them play Yale at Fitton Field. But like Fitton Field, it's interesting. It's it's old.
Best grass surface field on the Eastern Seaboard. I don't care what anyone says. That's my take. Lehigh. I haven't played at Lehigh, so I don't really know. It looks good, from a TV standard, but from a playing, like I played on Fitton Field. Yeah, best grass surface by far. So
It looks amazing. It looks amazing on TV. I'm not saying that as like a homer, as a Holy Cross fan, but it looks very green and amazing on TV.
yeah,
So I guess I'm glad to hear you say that because yeah, like
yeah.
there's just something about it. Like I don't know if it's because like they switched from like the checkered end zones when I was a kid to like the script in the end zone, like that makes it
Oh, I
look
would have
different. But
loved to
like
see the checkered. I would have. I don't think when we faced them they had the checkered. I think it just had the Crusaders in purple. Um, but nah, yeah, nah, that was a yeah, that's a nice old school style nestled but still big kind of stadium. Like it's something to behold. That's for sure.
yeah, and shoot, I could. It's been a while since I've gone or like seen, I guess, a good enough view on TV, but. Yeah, like I guess the whole stadium is available for anyone to sit in. It's not like Bucknell where like it's a 17,000 seat stadium and like they got tarps galore. It's sad. I feel bad, but it's just like it's like come on,
I
guys.
yeah. So disclaimer. My cousin. He's now coaching at the University of Florida, but he was coaching before then uh, at Bucknell, and we went to go see them play. I think might have been the year after I was done playing football. Uh, they played Monmouth, uh, and won. Coming from Maryland, that's like the longest little medium drive, if you want to say, from Baltimore to Lewisburg. That's like the longest drive ever, because you think you're there, but you're not. Like you keep asking, I'm almost there, right? But you're not. It's just like it's annoying, right? And so we get up there, then you're like, man, there's nothing. I heard there's Lewisport not too far by, and shout out to the Little League World Series. But like, if you're a college age student, I don't think you care about some Little League baseball. You know what I mean? So like, I was trying to feel it for the kids a little bit. Then on top of that, like I think it's early October at that. I'm dragging my at the time my girlfriend, but now my fiance with me. I'm like, yeah, we're going this and third, and we're heading up there, and before you know, we get out the car. It's cold as hell. It's like just that wind, because it's like in the middle of the valley. It's like just whisking away at your face. Just left and right. You're like, oh my, I should have brought a blanket. Why do you bring a blanket? That's an argument waiting to happen later on. So like that's it's just like a whole like a miserable. Then you get to the stadium, beautiful looking stadium. Beautiful looking stadium. But then like it's just like you said, tarped out. I'm like, why is this tarped out? Then I'm like, wait, I thought this was a home game. Looks like an away game. It's like, yeah, everybody went to the Penn State game. That's happening. And I was like, wait, no loyalty here? So like, yeah, I definitely understand where you're coming from in regards to like the Bucknell Lactero faithful. Just playing, watching games and not really being in it.
Yeah, like I mean, shoot, like we're in the college football off season, right? So like I've been like debating whether like to write something on like Bucknell moving a game to Hershey Park, because like I've been watching YouTube videos on like the decline of the amusement park industry, and I'm thinking like, like
Oh,
it wouldn't be too bad of an idea. Like it's like what do they have to lose? Like the average, I think they were like third to last, I think, in attendance, and they
I
have like one of the biggest
listen.
stadiums.
It Yeah, their stadium. I think their stadium is actually bigger than Hughes. Because I think we said, you know, the official capacity would say 10,000, but really we could fit around 12 and some change. Um, but I think theirs is like you said around 17 or so thousand seats, and yeah, just to see like them being one of the lowest. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, even just as a player, how you get up to want to. I mean, of course you got your job to do, but to want to really ball out and give that extra juice when like nobody's watching, right? Like,
Yeah.
I get it, like that maybe you've had some down times, but now thinking about it, until last year they haven't been the worst team in the conference.
Yeah, but I mean Georgetown's catching up. Georgetown is
That's what
I'm really
that's
impressed with
what I said.
Georgetown.
That's what I said. Until
Yeah.
last, Georgetown has historically been the actual. And I feel like I'm just like taking shots at everybody on the East Coast, like, and I feel like I feel like I feel like I'm about to get so many mentions from from the Patriot League community. Like, how dare you? Who are you, Morgan? Listen, I don't care. I'm giving everybody strays. All right, uh, but no, but like yeah, historically Georgetown is it's something that DC Water have historically been the bottom dwellers of that conference. And shout out to Georgetown for us beating them and actually giving us our little momentum as a program from 2022. We'll see y'all in 2026. But but no, but seriously, like if you haven't been the worst, then I think that's something to like kind of to fight on off of and build off of. And matter of fact, I think last year, maybe it was last year or the year before, if I'm mistaken, they played Towson. And they played them pretty staunchly, up in Bucknell. So like, there's signs of life, for that program, and I just wish that they had more of the tangible and visible support that they should have. I mean, I get it, money wise they have it, but like I'm just saying from an actual emotional and influential standpoint, that should be there also.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And I will say, yeah, like you said, like until recently, I feel like they're gonna turn around. Maybe they've had a couple lean years, but like the signs were there for a turnaround after the pandemic. But back in 2015, like I remember I was like stressing out because they almost beat Army at Mikey. It
Yeah.
took
Matter of fact, wasn't it? Man, I think it might have been a year. Don't please don't quote me, but there might have been during the era of which I played. I thought there was a year that they were close to or in contention of winning the conference towards the end of the season. Don't quote me on it. I think they were like a win away. They had to win a game. They needed help on the from somebody else within the conference to win it. And I think they lost. So they didn't win it ultimately. But I think they were close, not too, well, I guess, man, I'm getting old. It would be almost 10 years, but within the last 10 years, I think they were close to winning the conference.
I feel like it might have been like 2017 or like 2016, like one of those years where like the
Yeah.
Patriot League representative had a losing record. And because I know, like, I guess the way, I guess, like, for me, like, I guess, like, my Patriot League, I guess, expertise, like, just rejuvenated after Colgate in 2018, just how great that team was.
Yeah, yeah.
And they
I
played at
mean,
West Point that year. And
well, to
they,
me, well, and then what's interesting is, um, the to me for a long time, the two schools, like I said, until about 2016, 2017, with the ascension of Holy Cross, it was always Colgate and Fordham,
yep,
and just to see the slight regression and now the come upness of even the likes of Lafayette.
yep.
You never know. So like that's why I always would promote, like, keep being prideful for your schools.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, that 2018 Colgate team, gave Army a run for their money for sure. It was 21-14 game until uh we scored like 2 minutes left. And yeah, like so yeah, but I mean I think the great thing about the Patriot League is like as sad as it seems is with the transfer portal and I guess with the
Yeah,
COVID year, guys like Matt Sluka, you know,
yeah.
no, yeah, like going to UNLV, like having that extra year, like still, I mean, of course, like he was as loyal as he could be to his school, but he's got a redshirt year that he can't use. And so I guess seeing guys transfer out, like the talent is more cyclical. So who knows if Bucknell will finally break that 80-year postseason drought. I mean, well, it's not with the caveat, if you want to count the 2021 spring Patriot League championship game as a postseason appearance, and I do. But
Listen,
uh
listen. Hold on. Alabama A&M. Oh, and now I'm throwing all types.
oh
Everybody in
man.
the United
Oh
States is
no.
catching some.
No. I know where this is going.
If Alabama A&M could claim a 5-game season championship, conference championship, anything's possible.
Yeah, I knew where it was going. I knew it was going with the
If
APCU
listen,
national championship. I knew.
I promise you that Alabama A&M probably, if it was a 3-game season and they went 3-0, they will celebrate that like it's the 1956, if they even won the 1956 SWAC championship, right? I don't even think they won the 1956. I'm highly doubtful of it, a matter of fact. But just the mere fact that they really, I mean, 2020. I mean, it's almost what? Well, next year will be 2025, and they're still like, yeah, baby, we was 2020 champs, baby. Yeah, get a hold of yourself, like. So if they could do it, Bucknell could do it, and then you just gotta have faith for your program.
I will say like everyone. So I mean, everyone will talk about punts and everything. Punts are cool now, but like back in the spring of 2021, probably one of the greatest punting performances I witnessed. Ruben Anderson 6-0 against Bucknell Lehigh to clinch a Patriot League South. I remember watching that, like, because in the spring, like in the spring, I was my senior year at the academy. There's like nothing to do on weekends, so I was just like locked in on spring weekends watching FCS football. From like the afternoon all the way to night, and like I
Were
remember
any of
watching
your
that.
roommates like, bro, what are you doing?
No, because I mean, honestly, I didn't talk to my roommate my senior year that much. Like,
Oh, okay.
he was a good guy, but I just didn't share much in common with him. But I was just like locked in, just like would relax, and just watching that game. I watched that game like start to finish because I was invested in this Patriot League race and like seeing like I'm like just seeing how good that defense was and how like Ruben Anderson like just
Can you
constantly
believe
like
that?
punting.
At the five,
I'm just saying, like I liked punts before the sickos made it cool, like and I've been told I sound bitter. It's like, I'm not bitter. I just tell it how it is. I just tell it how it is. It's like like some people make memes. This is how it is. But yeah, I guess that being said, like I mean, I just think Mickey Mouse Championship discourse for like the pandemic, it's just hilarious to me. So like you
Yeah.
talking about that, I find that hilarious. Just like the
Oh
whole
yeah.
that people just debate that for me a championship's a championship. Like if a season was played, it's
So be it. So be it.
you know
But like, I mean, like people get on me for like, I know we had an unprecedented the year my team made it to the national playoffs. It was an unprecedented 5-way tie in our conference, which to this day is still talked about. I mean, I get it. However, we were the automatic qualifiers. Okay. So, okay. So I understand, weird phenomenons, but like at least we played 12 games in a regular season, right? Like we had to go through some ebbs and flows, through some. Listen, you play 5 games. There's nobody tore an ACL, right? Nobody played long enough to pull a hamstring. Hell, the damn Gatorade's not even. It's not even cold enough. You just pouring the ice in it. Like to me, everybody is all right. And don't even try to go with a counter argument. Say, well, that should make it even tougher because that means everybody was fully healthy. Like, I don't get me started with that. Some guys had COVID and couldn't play. So how about that? You know what I mean? Like I don't want to hear any of this nonsense, right? So I just find it funny that like they really treat this as if it's like the same thing as what Jackson State did the following legitimate season. Like that. That's neither here nor there. But I digress with Alabama A&M. I'm not trying to catch any more. Well, I already know it's over for me, but it is what it is.
I mean, well, I guess as we start to wrap up, I will say like I remember being like invested in Delaware State that year. Like I thought they were cooking, honestly. Trey Gross Linsanity run in the spring of 2020, like especially that one game he had like 3 touchdowns on like 2 deep balls. Like I was telling like Jackson, like man, like these guys are these guys
Delaware,
are legit.
I forgot. I think they might. I forgot they were the lone MEAC school playing ball. I don't
It
even
was
know.
South Carolina State and the school in
Oh, so
DC.
yes, right, right.
But they look good for like a lot of those games. Like I remember like watching because I rebooted up my YouTube TV to watch a Delaware State Delaware the one time they had in the spring, and so I remember I was like deeply invested in like a late night replay of South Carolina State Delaware State. I'm just like watching this like it was like the one game they had on ESPN. I'm like man, like this is cinema right now. Like I'm like staying up until like one a.m. like watching this replay. So I mean it was just a weird time.
Oh
It
yeah,
really was a weird time. But I guess as we start to draw things to a close, Marco, thanks for coming on. Is there anything you want to plug? Just anything you
yeah.
want to plug just now?
Thank you. Yeah, you can catch me on my show with my co-host David Rhodes called MD on Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Western Standard Time, and 7 p.m. Central Standard Time on HBCUNightly.com or on YouTube. You can also catch me on our networks, which is HBCU Nightly Network. Uh, our main stable show on Wednesday nights on HBCUnightly.com, HBCU Nightly with Joshua Sims Sr. At 8, that happens on 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Western, and 7 p.m. Central. And then you can also catch me on social media. I'm heavily on Twitter at Big Money Banks _. And if you dare to want to provoke me, just know I'm coming with the smoke back. Just know. All right. But other than that, Man, I really appreciate it. I really, really appreciate it, Omar. What you have going is just a treasure trove of great insight, knowledge, and fandom for I feel like an underappreciated and underrepresented aspect of college football, which is the FCS landscape. So, like, truly a big shout out to you, bro.
I really appreciate it. So I mean, I produce it. I don't care, how many people read it, but it's just good to know that some people read it. It's just not going out there
Absolutely.
into the void. So I mean, anytime I hear that, makes it worthwhile. For sure, because you know, every school deserves to have their story told. I mean, I've covered D3. I remember, you know, talking to I think it was a Hendrix College out in Arkansas because they had a game.
Oh,
It's doing pockets. They had a game at War Memorial Stadium, and I love historic
wow.
stadiums and I'm still trying. I'm hoping that they have another game at Little Rock and I'm just hoping I can make it down.
Yeah.
They pull out the red carpet. I know Southern Utah coach Delane Fitzgerald out of Southern Utah. He after I appeared on a podcast with the Rev, for around or not around the ASUN but around the UAC. He
Yeah.
Coach Fitzgerald messaged me. He's like, "Hey, we'd love to roll out the red carpet for you." I'm like, "Wow,
Oh man.
I'm
That's
not gonna
dope.
deny it." So,
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's good to
Absolutely.
know that, that the coverage means something, especially to the schools. But it's a beautiful game all across the country, the great game of college football. But yeah, like I said,
Oh,
much
one more
appreciated.
thing, one more compliment, which is not really a compliment because it's my truth. I've played at the military academy. I've played at the Air Force Academy. While there's breathtaking vistas at the Air Force Academy, West Point is by far the most gorgeous campus in the nation. So I just want to say
Mm.
you were lucky to walk those grounds and get a great education from there.
Thanks, I appreciate it, and I hope to make it down to Morgan State sometime. For a game.
Oh
I got to
yeah,
find the right game. I got to find the right game.
listen. I mean, we do have one against it's going to be really the battle of the orange and blue versus Lincoln for homecoming. But I will say, uh, uh, take you and the better half uh, to a trip up to Baltimore because I mean, due to unfortunate events last year, we weren't able to have homecoming. But this year, man, oh my goodness, people are itching. So I think you're going to be in for a good one if you make it to that one.
Yeah, I will definitely put it on my list. And I got to play catch with like a lot of schools. I got South Dakota State fans asking me to come to a game. And I'm like, it's in play. It's in play. Like for me, it's got to be on a non Notre Dame Navy year because like that's like the big one for me. I mean,
Yeah, I
um,
understood.
but yeah, no, I appreciate that. Like the Hudson's beautiful. Upstate New York, honestly, is
Oh
like a
yeah,
dream retirement area for me.
oh yeah,
But yeah, I appreciate it. But thanks again, Marcolm. I really hope to do this again. And speaking of this, we will do this again at some
absolutely.
point. But thank you again for waiting for me, staying up late and everything
No,
out
no
there in the East
problem.
Coast. But yeah, and until next time, everyone, thanks for listening. I hope you learned something. Hope you found something else to look forward to this college football season, Brick City Classic, and more. Even Harvard Stetson. But until next time, everyone. It's Omar Borja, the Burger Popper, and peace, love, and soul.